I guarantee there will be a new division winner for the NFC North. So let's talk about it because training camp has officially kicked off this week. Let's jump into some of the storylines you should be following as we go into the preseason leading up to week one. So I want to start with Green Bay because the biggest storyline here, we already know Aaron Rodgers is gone. No more Hall of Fame quarterback to lead your team. What the hell is Jordan Love going to do? Is he going to come in and the bus just keeps rolling? Are the Packers just going to burn in flames? Is Matt LaFleur going to be able to scheme up something to kind of make up for what they've lost? And I'm going to go on the record right now and say that the Green Bay Packers are going to win the NFC North. I'm telling you right now, Jordan Love has all of the weapons he needs to succeed. With running backs like Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, you have two second-year top-notch wide receivers, or at least wide receivers on the rise, and Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. They go draft Luke Musgraves out of Oregon State. And people are forgetting how damn good this defense really looks, not just on paper, but even last year when Aaron Rodgers was struggling, their defense is what kept them in the games. And I think people in the media and just NFL fans are so used to the Green Bay Packers dominating on the offensive side of the ball. They have just kind of gone weary of all the moves they've made to make this defense one that they can win games through rather than having to keep up with, shootouts and whatnot. So I think the Green Bay Packers have the best shot to win this division if Jordan Love comes in and is decent. If he is an average quarterback, takes care of the ball on turnovers, and just take what the defense gives him, this is a very, very winnable situation for them because of steady management, the front office, the coaching, the veterans, their schedule. It isn't as daunting as some make it seem. I've seen the Green Bay Packers come in last in their division in a lot of these mocks or predictions that the media has showing. And I just think that's super outlandish. Whenever you look at not only the offense, but this defense, you have Jair and Eric Stokes on the outside, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt. They go get Luke Van Ness from Iowa, Hercules himself. Devondre Campbell, I think, was an under the radar signing. Quay Walker, I thought it was Clay. They're leading the linebacker room there, and then you still have Darnell Savage and what's his name, Rudy Ford. I thought it was Kenny Ford, but anyways, this defense is locked and loaded to carry this team in a division that is in the North. It gets cold, hard to get an offense going once you're in October, November, December, January, if they get there. So I just really believe that this team is in a better position to succeed than people might think. So that being said about the Green Bay Packers, let's move on to the team everyone is just hyping up so much, and that is the Detroit Lions. I've never seen so much. The Detroit Lions are kind of like the Jets of the NFC. Everyone's picking them to win because they ended the year on a really high note. They had one of the most dynamic, high-powered offenses in the league. I agree. It was all those things, but I almost feel like they're setting themselves up too highly. And now if it's playoffs or bust, I feel for the Lions. This is Dan Campbell's third year going in. He's drafted the guys he wants to draft it. He's built the team how he wants to build it. They go spend high draft picks on Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell, who both I love. I think those were good picks. Granted, there could have been some areas that you could have maybe got some other players. But the biggest storylines for me is just like the Jets, can they handle the hype? Can they handle the success? And also, this division, I think, is wide open. And I think they all are going to play each other very well. And these games are not going to be blowouts. I think they're going to be very close games. The Detroit Lions needed the defense to step up to match this high-powered offense. but you go lose JMO for 6 games because of gambling. Amon St. Brown can only handle so much of the load. I'm curious how they end up utilizing Jahmyr Gibbs, spreading him out wide in the backfield. All the ways that you can to make him a weapon, they need to be able to do. And leave David Montgomery back there. You don't think he's going to want to run for 600 yards against the Bears for letting him go? That's going to be a revenge game for sure. He went in division for a reason. I think he's pretty pissed off that they didn't believe in him enough to, extend him. But can they maintain the high-powered offense with some key players missing and leaving while also improving their defense enough to keep them in games? So those are the things that I'm really following for the Detroit Lions. And let's see if this hype gets to their head and they start going downhill in the middle of the season. Minnesota. Oh, man. I just feel like if last year wasn't the year, it ain't happening, man. It's not happening. Everything was lining up for the Vikings to make a deep playoff run just to get beat by Daniel Jones and first-year head coach Brian Daboll. And what a kick in the nads to go into that game at home and have Kirk Cousins throw that short route on, I think, like 4th and 13 or something like that. Granted, I feel for Kirk Cousins. I saw the documentary on Netflix. He's a good guy. I mean, nerdy and a little corny, but he's a good dude, and I'm rooting for him because of that documentary, getting a little behind the scenes, look into his life and his family. But he already said he's not getting an extension with Minnesota. So this is it for Kirk, and that's the storyline for me. What is Kirk going to do to be remembered as a Minnesota Viking? Is it going to be Kirk, the Viking who never got them over the hump and was never successful in primetime games, only one playoff win Kirk? Or is it going to be, you like that, chain hang on my dang-a-lang Kirk, lead them to a Super Bowl and, take out powerhouses like Dallas, Philly, San Fran? We'll have to wait and see. But if this year ain't it, Kirk, I don't know where you're going to be. It's just time's running out. Time is running out. But for y'all to go back and win another 13 games whenever I think over half of them were one-score victories, it's going to be tough. And if anything, I think this is one of those teams that was in the playoffs last year that don't make it because this defense did not really do enough, I think, to right the wrongs of last year. They got Jordan Addison, love that. You lose Dalvin Cook, don't love that. Can Alexander Mattison be the workhorse that Dalvin Cook was for this team? And I think that's a really important storyline as well, is how does this backfield shake up, unfold? Are they going to be airing it out twice as much? Everyone's triple covering Justin Jefferson. Who else is going to come in and take some of that pressure off him? Is it Addison? Is it TJ Hawkinson? Is it KJ Osborne coming out of the woodwork? Maybe to help lead this team to a couple of victories. So I just think 13 wins was a fluke, and I don't think that it's repeatable. So we will see, but it doesn't look good. Now, Chicago is kind of the vice versa of the Vikings. I think that they might be one of those teams who weren't in the playoffs last year that sneak in with a wild card because of all the additions that they have made. Going out and getting DJ Moore, who, getting into the fantasy mode a little bit, draft DJ Moore. I think he's always suffered from poor quarterback play, and him and Justin Fields, from what I'm seeing out of the early days of training camp, chemistry, connection, they're building up schemes and plays to get DJ Moore the ball. And I really think this is the season that he goes off and could be a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy. Not to mention Chase Claypool, not to mention Darnell Mooney still there. They just extended Cole Kmet, who mid for an extension, but maybe he has a bounce back year too. This offense is going to look completely different now that they have the weapons to air it out. They ran the dog shit out of the ball last year because they had no other choice. It was Fields running around for his life and Khalil and David Montgomery just pounding the rock, which they actually did pretty well for everyone knowing that's what they were going to do. I am worried about the defense a little bit. I mean, you have Eddie Jackson. You get Tremaine Edmonds from from Buffalo, which was good. Jaquan Brisker's a stud. I don't know too much about their corners. I know Kyler Gordon's 49 defense grade. I know he's all right. I think Jalen Johnson had a pretty decent year last year. Yeah. So I'm a little worried about the corners and I'm a little worried about the defensive line. But I mean, you never know. Maybe they could step up. Maybe they get some playmakers that are able to rush the passer, because I think that's a big thing that they're missing. If they can put those pieces together and win some close games, especially in their division, I think they could easily take the division, but also get into the playoffs through a wild card. So those are my thoughts on the NFC North. I'm still taking Green Bay to win it. And we're going to go over the rest of the NFC division. So go check out that video. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll catch you in the next one.